Hi, my name's Dan Keane. I'm a composer, producer, and musician based in London. It might feel like I'm doing quite a lot of these piano reviews at the moment, but there are just so many great sample library developers cropping up at the moment that deserve attention to their instruments. So here's another one. The other day, I had a comment on my demo for the Postcard Piano, linked above and down below, and it said, "Sounds lovely, but is it any more lovely than the many pianos available for free on PianoBook?" I think what's great about PianoBook and other smaller developers is that they can create completely for the reason of creating. There's no kind of commercial limitations. It's just purely from the love of doing what they do. And in the case of Teletone Audio's fantastic new Postcard Piano, there have been blood, sweat and tears poured into this instrument. Now, this video is sort of twofold because not only do I want to show you this awesome piano, but also I want to experiment with this new camera angle I've got going, and I'm quite excited to try this out. I've been looking for a while for a way to do really good top-down shots, and I hope this angle will work well. I'm actually just using a light stand, but it seems to be doing the job quite well. Now, I should say that I'm not affiliated with Teletone Audio, but they did give me this piano for free, and they're willing to give you 10% off your purchase if you use the promo code DANKEEN at checkout. Otherwise, it's $69 to buy the instrument, and I think that's a price well worth paying. But of course, I will go in depth and show you everything there is to know about this new piano. Some pianos just make you play differently, and this one has me feeling really kind of warm and fuzzy. It's got this very nostalgic tone to it, and it's never really been about how many round robins, how many dynamic layers there are. It's always been about the strength of the artistic vision behind a product. And in this case, I know that Jeremy's really gone in depth to create these time-stretched, warped, kind of manipulated sounds that also feel very, very organic. And I think you'll hear that in not just the main instrument, but also the kind of prepared, designed patches. Now, with so many of these libraries, I maintain the position that they really are just tools, and that if you're going to write and play them in your music, that's great, but it doesn't necessarily add a unique selling point to you as a composer. However, when we spend so much of our time writing and improvising using these libraries actually while we're writing the music, I think we owe some of that creative outlet to the instruments we play, particularly as we might have been moved by the sounds we were using when we came up with those chords, those harmonies. So to that end, I guess perhaps tools like this may unlock something in your playing. I don't know. Now, this instrument is quite difficult to unpack because there's just so much going on, but I think because I can't quite unravel what they've done, it's not just a raw plus an edited layer, it's all kind of joined together. I think it's that kind of homogeny between all the different parts that makes it feel that much more genuine, that much more sincere. So let's just play with this setting here. As you can see, this is the kind of default Postcard Piano setting, although I've now tweaked it to make it, I think, the best sound. So it's really, really nice. I'm just going to drag the basic preset in now, and let's just go through each element in turn. So first of all, we've got a fairly kind of basic piano. This is a fairly old piano, as you can hear. Now, right off the bat, this is completely dry. I haven't got any other effects on here at all. Let's just start by dialing in some of this reverb. As you can see, no numbers here, so you're just going by what you hear. We've got 5 different presets, and you just hit the little on button like that. Quite easy. This is the kind of room setting. quite nice. Let's listen to the plate. Now the hall is really long. Church. So I quite like these. I mean, I think the room doesn't add a huge amount of depth to the sound, but I guess if you want it to have that slightly more distant kind of back of the living room kind of sound. But I have to say, it does take to reverb really, really nicely. And if I add in a couple of reverbs that I would use, it's got that kind of lo-fi sound, particularly the decay of the notes. And I believe every single note has been stretched down by a minor third, so you start to hear little artifacts, which are quite nice. I'm going to disable my reverbs for now, which by the way were Cinematic Rooms and the Pro R by FabFilter. Okay, let's have a look here at the tube settings. So again, flick the switch and it's on. So this helps to add that kind of analog crunch that you might expect. I don't like having it on all the time. But I guess you could kind of have that on its own and then blend it in underneath. I like to have it around here. So it doesn't always play, but when it gets loud, it kind of brings that in. Sounds quite kind of, well, yeah, very warm, very nostalgic. Has the kind of feeling of tape, maybe a slight kind of cassette sound. I really like this age knob here. Which we lose some of the low end when you push it all the way up to the top, but you get that nice wow and flutter. So without it. Just adds a little bit of undulating under the surface. I find, and I'm going to make a whole video on this soon because I think it's really important, I believe that sampled instruments are just too clean these days, and as a result it just doesn't sound realistic. The sounds of people moving about in their chairs, that's all kind of deleted from the sound often, for the exception of a few libraries that really like that kind of slightly more imperfect sound. But we don't want it to sound like sine waves. We want it to have that feeling, that characteristic, and adding effects like this little wow and flutter and, you know, adding a bit of kind of spatial kind of alterations and stuff like that under the surface really helps, for me at least, just to make it sound that much more real. It kind of dirties up the sound slightly. So I'm a big fan of using this age knob just to add a little bit of interest there. We've got this mono to stereo output, all the way down to mono, to give it a really kind of old school vibe. And then out here, I think it's a little bit too far for my liking, but again, it sounds quite nice. So I tend to have it on about there. Then we've got this sensitivity, basically how hard I'm hitting the keyboard will change how sensitive this instrument is. So right on here, if I play really lightly, it's playing kind of forte. Whereas if I play it all the way down here, I have to really hit the keyboard hard to activate those samples. So again, I have it down about here. I want to have as much kind of dynamic control as possible. And I believe, having looked through the samples here, it looks like there are maybe 4 dynamics in total. pianissimo, piano, mezzo forte and forte, which is nice. Now we've got this room noise here, which is constant, no matter if it's playing or not. So I'd pull it down to about here. Again, just adds a little bit more interest, a little bit more chaos under there. Now this room, I think, is just the room microphones because it doesn't come on until I start playing. Now, I think because this isn't available as a room-only sound, they maybe weren't super happy with the sound of the room on its own. It's got a bit of a kind of phony sound to it, and I don't mean phony as in bad, I just mean it sounds a bit like this. But I think dialed in, it can just help add a little bit of brightness there. So I might kind of turn that on a little bit. We've got our release samples, the sound of me letting go of the notes. This could have been a little bit louder, I think. But I like it. And then our sustain pedal. Now I mentioned that there are some design patches. This is what it looks like. So we've got lots of different things here, and I'm just going to kind of play through each one in turn and show you how it sounds. This is 1920. Really old school. This is 1958. (1969), which is a Philly left-panned sound, which of course you can move back to the center. Really love this sound. 1974 is my second favorite. Got that lovely brightness to it. Anime, this next one is particularly nice. Really nice. Got bad cable. Which has obviously got some kind of bit crusher plugin on it. Which is cool. Now there are also some padded sounds too. This is Darkness 1973. And again, it's the artifacts afterwards. This one's called Grime bass. Very cool. Memora. which is nice. Got this one. See, this is the thing. It just brings these sounds out of you. Okay, this one's just low. Which is quite nice. We're nearly there. Refraction. I love the sound of that phasing across. Sirens. This is really nice. It's subtle, but it's really tasteful. It's just got these really beautiful sounds. Penultimate one, underwater scene. And again, it's the decay. And finally, this is my favourite. This is the worn cashmere. So, do I think you should buy this piano? Yes, I think this is really, really good. I think Teletone Audio have done it really well here because they know that they're not necessarily going to get the most kind of heavily sampled, most detailed instrument out there. So instead of just kind of settling for something that's a little bit kind of rough around the edges, they're making that part of its character. It's perfectly imperfect. And I think that's really, really important in, there are so many pianos these days. How do you decide which ones to buy? They've all got nice features, they've all got nice things going on. But I would say just the design patches alone just show you kind of the breadth of this instrument. And again, you could take these samples, you could put them through reverbs and stuff like that. In fact, if that's something you're interested in, I might make a separate video on using a piano like this, maybe not necessarily this one, but using a piano like this to create other tones in your music. As I say, you can use the promo code DanKeen for 10% off, which is very exciting. Thank you to Teletone Audio for giving that to you. That's really, really great. And thank you to them also for giving it to me for free. Yeah, absolutely love it. I mean, what a nice way to spend a Saturday. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't done already. If you like this video, please click thumbs up. And I will see you again very, very soon.